meeting and surpassing all audience expectations every day. It's your guiding light, Rush Limbaugh, behind the golden EIB microphone. There are only two of those on Friday. Let's hit it.
Live from the Southern Command in sunny South Florida, it's Open Line Friday.
Open Line Friday, which means that you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be something I care about. That's the deal. I will either fake caring so that people don't think I'm bored, or I will act bored. But probably not, because I'm a polite host, the politest host in the country. So you have questions, comments, arguments, problems. Are you at your wit's end? This is the place to come. You don't need these professional counselors out there dealing with this campaign. You can call right here, 800-282-2882, if you want to be on the program. Going back to this John Podhoretz commentary and his attempt, this was actually from yesterday, but his was a piece in Commentary Magazine, and it's a very lengthy piece, and I'm just synthesizing it down to its bare essence as he attempts to explain the Trump phenomenon. I mean, many people that are not for Trump are puzzled beyond their ability to express it, why people support Trump. Some people are getting mad. Some people are taking the rejection of themselves and their ideas personally. Some people, it just doesn't make any sense no matter how they look at it. So they're doing everything they can to try to explain it to themselves in a way that makes sense. And when we talk about some of the analysis, I'm not accusing Podhoretz of this, but some of the people that are on the establishment side engaging in this exercise start out from a position of some contempt toward the average Trump voter for being so blind, for being so stupid. Why don't they see these flaws in Trump? Why don't they see that he's donated to Democrats? Why don't they see that his hair is a mess? Why don't they see that the guy is a bully? Why don't they see? And, of course, they all do. They see everything everybody else sees. So the real question is, why does it not matter to them? Or what does it mean to them? And I think at the root of this, the more this goes on, at the root of this is a much deeper disconnect than even I suspected between the professional political class in Washington and the people of the country. And I'll define the terms. Professional political class includes elected officials, includes anybody that deals with them in Washington, such as lobbyists, certain think tanks, certain media. They are all part of the mix. And I really believe that the lack of understanding of what daily life is like for millions of Americans has eluded them while they think they get it, while they think they understand your plight, while they think they understand your anger and your frustrations. I don't think they do. I don't think they quite yet understand it. And you can look at the mockery of the Tea Party by many of these people as an example. That's just one example. I could cite countless others. But I really think that this divide, this disconnect, is huge, and it's made bigger by the lack of awareness on the part of the powerful, if you will. They think they get it. They think they understand it. And they're close in some cases, but they really don't. You can boil it down to not too many different things. I mean, a lot of it has to do with money. It's always about money. It's always been about the trust and faith in American capitalism, in America itself. The old play by the rules, hard work, industriousness, preparedness, trying to live as law-abiding life as you possibly can. There's supposed to be a payoff for that. There are supposed to be rewards. The system is supposed to contain them. Among them, you're supposed to be able to get a better job. As you do a great job someplace else, you're to get noticed. Your opportunities are to expand. And if you have the desire to explore them and to exploit them, you're able to. The primary mechanism of climbing the ladder in the middle class is the college education. And that has become so expensive that it's first an albatross before it even becomes something helpful. And I just think that there are millions of people who haven't had significant increases in their income. And yet these are the people who are told that all these problems in America are their fault. We have a nation which, for the past 7 years specifically, but even longer than that, as you know, has been focused on adjudicating the discrimination against all of these minorities that has gone on since the days of our founding. And it's a specific group of people, middle-class Americans, who are being told they were the culprits. They were the discriminators. They were the bigots. They were the racists. And therefore, things, in their view, are being taken from them. Government is being used to pick winners. And it isn't based on anything other than things people have no control over. Their ethnicity, their sexual orientation, their race. And so they've abandoned the entire belief in the level playing field fairness aspect of things and do feel the deck is stacked against them. And they think a specific group of people has been in charge of and responsible for stacking that deck. Now, you can argue whether they're right or wrong, but the fact is they are acting on that belief. And it's not just things that have happened in the last 2 or 3, 5, even 7 years. It's been going on for much, much longer than that. These are not liberal people who begrudge the wealthy either. It's not made up of liberals that are ticked off. This is not the kind of anger that you see at Occupy Wall Street or in Al Sharpton rally or any of that. These are people who have believed in capitalism. These are people who have believed in the promises that have been made. These are the people that voted for it, voted for people who said they understood and would go to Washington and facilitate making this process through life in America with fewer and fewer obstacles for people, and it hasn't happened. So Mr. Podhoretz, let me just read his second to last paragraph, known as the penultimate paragraph. And this is why I think the meaning of Trump is being misused and misunderstood. Trump says he wants to make America great again, but I don't think that's what his acolytes hear. I think Trump's supporters hear that he's going to turn his vicious temper and his unbalanced rage on these large-scale forces that are hindering them. Trump's supporters want somebody punished. Could be China, could be Muslims, could be Mexicans, could be bankers, could be the GOP establishment, whatever. Trump is their punisher. Only he won't be. The qualities that have given Trump appeal to part of the GOP primary electorate would be destructive with a national electorate 7 times the size. If Trump is the GOP nominee, the gender gap, 12% for Romney in 2012, will open into a gender canyon, Grand Canyon for Trump. Now listen to this. I think his acolytes here, Trump supporters, that he's going to turn his vicious temper and unbalanced rage on the large-scale forces they feel are hindering them. They want someone punished. speaking for myself, I have supported that theory in describing Democrats. I have always sought to explain to people, why do lower class, middle class people, why do they want the rich to get a tax increase? How the hell does it help them? At the end of the day, a rich guy pays more taxes. How does your life change? And the answer's been, it hasn't. They just want the rich guy punished. This has always been an argument made about angry liberal voters. And I believe it was true. I believe that angry liberal voters are constantly running around enraged and angry and feeling left out and ignored. And the reason they vote for the Democrat Party is the Democrat Party is going to get even with people. It's certainly one of the motivations for all of the minority support the Democrat Party gets. How has life improved for any constituency group in the Democrat Party? It hasn't. That's why voters that vote Democrat are constantly enraged, angry all the time, miserable, unhappy, and even when their party is winning things, they're not happy. All the people who thought Obama's presidency was going to result in additional economic benefit to them, there's zero. There's rampant unemployment. There's rampant part-time work. They bought it hook, line, and sinker. The difference is when it happens, they find a way to blame Bush or the Republicans because that's what Obama does. But my point is, the way Mr. Podoretz here is describing Trump supporters is the way most of us have always looked at traditional angry Democrats. So you Trump supporters are the only ones who can answer this. Do you really know Trump's not going to change anything? Do you really know he can't? Do you really know he can't make America great again? And do you really not care that he can't? You just want Trump to get even with somebody for you because you can't. How does that manifest itself? I have an entirely different theory. Well, not entirely, but I have a different theory about this, as I have expressed over and over and over again. I think the grievances that people have, particularly on the Republican side, are real. They are numerous. And they are rooted in false promises, failed promises, phony agendas, being misled time and time again. And I think there's a sizable group of Americans who do believe that they are being blamed and therefore made to pay for. Look at the illegal immigrant argument, for example. There's no justification for this under the sun. We have people breaking the law coming into this country by the millions. And now unaccompanied children as well. There's nothing good that can come of this for them. And yet they're told that if they oppose it, what are they? They're racists and they're bigots, and they're not. They are also told that they'd better get behind this because the party that they choose, the party they support, the Republican Party, doesn't have a future unless they get behind this particular policy, illegal immigration, amnesty, whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't make sense to them. It doesn't make any common sense whatsoever. How in the world is bringing in 7 million poor people, 12 million poor people who cannot speak English and are not pushed to learn and are not pushed to acculturate and become, how in the world does that benefit? And then you turn back and you see that they end up being blamed for opposing this. And what are they called? They're called racists, they're called bigots, they're called all kinds of names. And they end up being blamed for this. But the real key is how they see it. They see the government that they elected picking somebody other than them to benefit from government. They pay their taxes, these people don't. They play by the rules, these illegal immigrants. This is one example. There are countless other examples besides illegal immigration, but it's one that's easy to understand. So the government says, we have been racist in our past. The Democrats say this. We have been we've been unfair. We have been mean to various minority groups. And it's time that we paid them back. It's time that we paid for our discrimination. And how are we doing it? We're paying for the discrimination by penalizing the American middle class. The American middle class is being told, look, the country has engaged in behavior in the past that was not our best. It did not represent our values. How many times do they have to hear that from Obama? And he's talking about them, and they know it. And their own party, the Republican Party, doesn't seem to see what's going on. The people they vote for join in this chorus of criticism and blame. It's almost like Washington has decided that America has committed great evils in its past, and it's time to pay for that. It's time to correct that. And who's going to pay for it? The middle class. We're going to take what normally would be a standard, ordinary, everyday benefit of being an American, and we're going to take it away from you. We're going to transfer it to these illegals because we have to show the world what our values are. We have to show the world that we're open, that we're accepting, that we're not racist and all that. It's looked at as, at its bare essence, unfairness. And while this happens, the economy continues to head south. Opportunity continues to evaporate. Everything they thought would happen is happening. And there's no acknowledgement of it or no recognition for it. All there is continued assertions by the elected political class that we need even more of this. Anyway, a brief. Now, my bottom line, I don't think people supporting Trump, I think they actually want this stuff stopped, folks. I don't think it's just about going out punishing people. But anyway, take a break. We'll get back to your phone calls when we get back. Look, there's one other fundamental aspect of this that I should mention, and it isn't self-interest. It isn't rooted in self-interest. I'm talking about the people I've just described. In addition to seeing their own economic future wiped out by any number of Obama policies, by expanding federal debt, by Obamacare, by this, I mean, there's no question, folks, that these people, we all do. There's something else happening. That the people in Washington, I don't care, Republican, Democrat, consultant, K Street lobbyist, they don't even, this doesn't even register with them. The people I'm talking about and the people that John Podhoretz tried to analyze here, they see America as founded, under assault, and changing, transforming right before their very eyes, to the point where the Constitution has become an impediment to people who are supposed to be defending it. They are scared to death that the greatest country in the history of humanity is about to fall, slowly but surely, and it's going to reach a point where capturing it, recapturing it, and reconstituting it's going to be a major, major undertaking. And that is not self-interest. That's not selfish. It's not about personal income or any of that. And that's just as real. And the people in Washington will laugh at you if you tell them that. Open Line Friday. El Rushbo having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. A friend of mine has a saying. It's time they held their nose for a change. How many years have you had to hold your nose? They've told you, look, you've got to accept our nominee. You have to accept our position on the budget. You have to accept this. We'll deal with this later when we win the House. And we'll deal with this later when we win the Senate. You must hold your nose and accept the nominee. You must hold your nose and support this candidate. And I'm telling you, it's not just Trump people, Cruz people the same way. They want their country back. Now, even that phrase, and the left will take that phrase and try to run with it and say that you're promoting riots or what have you. But there clearly is a battle going on for the heart and soul of this country, what kind of country it's going to be. The Democrat Party has gone all in radical left, has gone all in on the idea that America was founded immorally, unjustly, unfairly, that it was a rigged game from the beginning for a select few. And the select few have had descendants, and the descendants over the course of the history of the country has made sure the game has remained rigged for them. And they are out there doing Podhoretz, I think, perfectly described your average radical Occupy Wall Street protester, your average radical leftist Obama voter, your average radical leftist feminist. Black Lives Matter, that's exactly who he described. But he thought he was describing Trump supporters. This, I think, is also emblematic and representative of this great disconnect. But I'm telling you, the one thing that illustrates it more than anything is you tell, like I said, these people in Washington that the country's in crisis, we've got $19 trillion in debt, the Democrat Party is trying to transform, they'll laugh at you. Crisis, come on, you're over-dramatized. We don't have a crisis, and they really don't. They're doing fine, folks. They do fine no matter who wins the White House. Don't you see? Economically, professionally, they do fine no matter who wins. They might do marginally better when their party wins, but they're doing fine. Have you checked the unemployment rate in D.C.? Have you seen what have become the 5 wealthiest counties in the country? 3 or 4 of them surround Washington, D.C., and there's nothing to recommend living there in the wintertime, I'll guarantee you. So why is it happening? 3% unemployment, per capita income dwarfs whatever it is nationally. You tell those people there's a crisis in the country, they don't see it. They think if you think there is, that you're a little kooky. Fruitcake, nutcase, what have you.